Alright, look. I know it's been a while, but right now, I swear to God, I'm working on lots of projects for this channel and others. But anyways, today we're covering the story of Joseph Joestar from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series. Since right now I'm rewatching for like the 5th time all of JoJo, I wanted to make videos analyzing every single character. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the Mara and I channel, and check out my other channels as well. And let's dive into the story of Joseph Joestar. So, Joseph is introduced in Battle Tendency for the first time. He's a confident young man who has trouble keeping out of fights, but at the same time, he senses danger and counters it. In New York City in the 1930s, Joseph inherited his grandfather Jonathan Joestar's strength and sense of justice. But Jonathan was like a gentleman, whereas Joseph is more of a cocky badass, if that makes sense. The major enemies of Battle Tendency are the Pillar Men, which are entities of unbelievable strength that were unearthed from Mexico's ruins, and these include Cars, AC/DC, and Wamu. Since they hunt for the Red Stone of Asia, which would raise their status to that of ultimate lifeforms, they become an existential threat to humanity. Joseph's way of fighting was the Ripple, otherwise known as Hamon, which was also used by his grandfather, Jonathan Joestar. It is a form of martial art that involves breathing techniques to let out energy from the body. Energy like that of the sun has been known to be extremely strong on vampires. Joseph, contrary to his grandfather, uses his powers in very unpredictable ways, making him one of the most dangerous characters in the story. Caesar Zeppeli is also another exceptional user of the Hamon, and additionally he is the grandson of William Antonio Zeppeli, who actually trained Jonathan Joestar years back. Their contrasting natures often put them at odds with each other, but Caesar eventually grows to become very close with Joseph, leading up to tragic events in the story. Then next up is Lisa, who is my favorite character out of all Battle Tendency. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Joseph, you're my sweetheart, I'm sorry. She actually plays the role of a teacher to both Joseph and Caesar. Lisa is later revealed to be actually, heavy spoilers here, Joseph's mother, and her training helps them develop into warriors strong enough to take on the Pillar Men. Joseph's first real fight is against Strato, an old ally who has become a vampire. This battle sets up much of Joseph's struggles to come and really displays his creative fighting style. And actually the fight with Strato, like, I'm actually so nerdy about it. I love it for some reason. And the part where he like uses the mirror, I don't know, it amuses me so much. It's just like one of my favorite fights in all of JoJo. Like, I actually have it is so cool. And the music, it's great. I'm sorry that I'm like yapping right now. I'm going outside of out of script to tell you this, but it's great. I love it. Training on the punishing Erseplana Island, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but Joseph there works out his Ripple along with Caesar. And this section is really important for his development into both a warrior and a character. The fights of Joseph with Wamu and SCDC are also very breathtaking in their own right in Battle Tendency. After Joseph defeats them, he is respected by both Pillar Men as a worthy fighter. I love these dudes. The climax finally includes an epic battle against Cars and leads to him becoming the ultimate lifeform. Joseph, after struggling, defeats Cars ultimately by tricking him into being launched into space where he would be frozen and harmless. He would spend the rest of the years floating in space just as a rock. Just that. Who knows how far he got before the universe reset? Just think about that. He might have went to the sun and not have died. Who knows what happened to Cars? Like, think about that. Where in space? How far did he reach? That's a sour thought right there. Stardust Crusaders is set in the 1980s, many years after the events of Battle Tendency. Joseph is now way older, much more mature, but of course his quirkiness still exists. Joseph, aside from Hamon, also has a stand called Hermit Purple, which we're left to assume that he developed in between Battle Tendency and Stardust Crusaders. Stands are meant to be a physical manifestation of a person's fighting spirit, essentially being them in a sense. So he has Hermit Purple, giving Joseph the ability to capture psychic images, usually through electronic devices, to gather info. Also, he just kind of like Spider-Man's it, so that's also another thing that he does. Joseph goes to Japan to see his grandson Jotaro Kujo, who has also awoken his stand, thinking it's a evil spirit taking control of his life and ruining his life and stuff like that. He also takes off for Egypt with other stand users to defeat Dio Brando, who has returned to life, or was still in life actually, and just kind of like appeared after many years, with the body of Jonathan Joestar, and is now again a danger to the Joestar bloodline. The Crusaders encountered lots of enemy stand users that Dio actually sends, and often it is through Joseph's experience and strategic thinking that the group escapes danger. One major battle is that with Darby the Gambler and his gamer addict brother, where he proves his ability to read minds and essentially cheat to win in smart ways. All this leads to the final battle with Dio and his defeat, which was mostly Jotaro's doing. I mean, Polnareff also contributed a little, but Joseph actually figured out Dio's ability to stop time. But he actually didn't get the time to inform Jotaro about it, because Dio actually stopped time and threw knives at him. And finally we get into Diamond is Unbreakable. Here he is really, really old, to a point where conversation starts getting difficult with him. He moves to Morio in Japan because he learned that he has a son named Josuke Higashikata living there, and I guess he had a child in between Stardust Crusaders, something like that. The relationship between Joseph and Josuke was strained initially due to Joseph's past absence, but it gradually develops. Joseph's efforts to reconnect with Josuke to atone for his mistakes for the past show growth and make him human, essentially. Joseph in the same part also adopts another baby girl named Suzuka, who has a stand that makes her invisible. I guess it is kind of a way to redeem himself for what he did to Josuke and his absence, I guess. It also acts as a plot for a few episodes, and yeah, that's about it. Suzuka never appears again, so that's a bummer. Joseph does not have much of a fighting role in Diamond is Unbreakable. His presence in Morio helps in the gathering of the stand users against the main antagonist, along with information about him, Yoshikage Kira. But other than that, he's just there. I mean, he's really funny. He makes up for some really, really memorable moments. But yeah, I mean, it's Joseph, but he's old now and a bit more useless, to be honest. I know I'm kind of being mean, but it is what it is. In Golden Wind, he gets mentioned by name sometimes, but does not really appear. His legend and influence on actions are seen through characters and events, and that's just it. And in Stone Ocean, Joseph is again mentioned by name, but it goes to show that his presence is imprinted through this tale, and while his legend and the lasting impact of his battles remain, he is gone. I don't know, it might be implied that he died sometime in between Golden Wind and Stone Ocean, and maybe even a bit after Diamond is Unbreakable, but we don't really know. So yeah, Joseph himself proved to be a rather favorable character with major development throughout the series, and of course he's one of my favorite JoJo's, if not my favorite. Now, to be honest, I kind of want to update my favorite JoJo's tier list, because I made one back in the day, like 2 years ago, in my main gaming channel, but I kind of want to change some things. I think I did Giorno really dirty, so I have to make up for that. But Joseph, from his roaming days as a hot-headed young man in battle tendency to a wise elder in other parts, Joseph's story had resourcefulness, dark humor, and family dedication, even though it might not seem like it. His actions would have repercussions across generations that would brand him as one of the most loved, enduring characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.